Hello everyone. Recently a movie came called Joker and it started a big controversy whether this movie glorifies crime, does it justify crime, and to such an extent that American military, their memo was leaked and they said there can be a lot of violence by crazy people. In fact, lots of critics have panned the film saying that it actually glorifies crime and this the toxic masculinity it promotes that. So I thought, why not talk to some young boys and girls and figure out what they think about it. So today I am with these young bunch of kids. All of you are from film school.
Yeah.
So all of them are studying film course, and the idea is that so many films come, and I believe that movies are the modern literature. And they impact our mind so much because people believe in moving images. And once you are in a closed theater, then the characters are so powerful that they can shape our minds. So they are as powerful as books used to be earlier. But nobody discusses movies. Movies come and we only think about how much business they have done. Is it a hit or it's a flop? Is it a 100 crore movie or not? And people go and see movies just because they are made out of $1 billion and they do lots and lots of business, and which is why a lot of hype gets created. And in the process, nobody discusses movie which create an impact in our mind, changes our life. So I thought, why not discuss this? If it works, then on a regular basis, I would like to discuss movies which make a difference. So hi everybody.
Oh, hi.
Hey.
Okay, so you look like very bright filmmakers. Why are you so dull? Joker देखी अभी?
Yeah.
Yes.
All of you have seen it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, and you absorbed the movie or just saw it in hype?
No.
So
I've
no.
felt
Felt
it.
it.
Sure.
Okay, so let's go one by one.
Aryan.
Aryan, you,
Manan.
you,
Malaka.
Jahan.
Jahan.
Kabir.
Okay, so let's start with you, Aryan. Tell me, what do you think about Joker?
I've been a DC fan for all my life, and Joker was one of the movies that I was really looking forward to. When the hype got created, I was like, it's gonna be the next big hit. Maybe it will take down Marvel. When I went to see Joker, I was really disappointed, to be honest.
Disappointed?
Yeah.
The whole world is going gaga about this movie.
Yeah. But the thing is, if you have been following comics, they have messed up few things. Like, if you are making any universe which is remotely similar to Batman's, you shouldn't mess with Wayne's, because it has been 100 years of Batman's franchise, and there are a lot of stories which branch out of that. Killing of Martha and Thomas Wayne. So once you mess around with that, it messes around a lot of stories in future. Second thing, I felt the movie was too much about Arthur Flinch. It was not about Joker. So the violence, and Joker is insane, he's psychotic. They showed him a bit more funny this time. And I was wanting to see a bit more of Joker. If he's coming before Batman, I wanted to see that, how cops are dealing with it, how he's taken down or neutralized, or if he isn't taken down or neutralized, what happens. It was like way too much of Arthur Flinch, and I was like, it's just not it.
Oh really? But don't you think that's a great study of a character? Why do you want to connect it with everything you have seen earlier? If you see it as an independent movie,
Yeah.
then the study of character, do you agree with that character or what?
As a movie, without removing all the background that I carry from the comic book universe, it was a good movie. Like, realism and everything was really, it was nice.
Okay.
But it just wasn't the.
What? Okay, right. I understand. I just read a lot of people are saying that. What do you think, Manan?
I think of all the movies I've seen recently, this was one of the strongest characters I've probably ever seen in my life. I think the entire movie is pretty much just a character study, and the whole criticism about how it's only about a character, there's not enough story. I don't really get it. The name is Joker, the poster of the
Poster
movie
is
is
also
the
Joker.
And well, there is a story. It's just a character who has his defined conflicts inside, and there's conflicts in Gotham outside. And it's just about how the two are placed together, they're merging, and that's pretty much what the story is. So I think this was probably, as a character study, which I think, as a character study, I think this is one of the best character studies I've seen, and just in recent cinema, it has to be one of the best movies I've seen.
Okay, and do you carry back the character, his agony, his disturbance, his
almost every scene. So, well, I think the reason people are saying it glorifies violence is because if you actually go look at it from, how we if you go look at the movie, it doesn't glorify violence. You just feel for the character because you see him change, you see him evolve, you feel his pain, and well, then he goes on and he creates this whole riot in Gotham and everything. So I don't think glorifies violence. I just think you sort of feel for him even while he's committing all of this, all these crimes.
Okay. Malika, what do you think?
I don't think that I've seen a film that dives so deep into mental illness ever. So it's almost like anything Joker does, like you said, it ruins everything else in the future. In fact, I feel like given how strong they explained why his reasons are for doing whatever he does, it sort of justifies anything that he's about to do in the future. Now, he's killed his own mother, he's, killing people left, right and center, so it almost makes it gives him a reason to do whatever he does. It gives the character like a little base to then jump off and then go to whatever length he wants to go to. So it gives like a bigger freedom for this character to go into any story, whether it's with Batman or it's with Harley Quinn, wherever he's going from here. Because now you have a very realistic justification as to why he does what he does. And while he is completely against humanity on a certain level, you're still with this guy. So I don't think it glorifies violence, it just glorifies him. And if people love him, then his violence people will love, not general violence.
So you are saying for you it's not a movie about violence, it's about mental illness.
Yeah, obviously it is a movie about mental illness. He's got all sorts of problems. I'm just saying it's very well made, because when, for example, any like villain, any character, like Cruella de Vil, why does she want to kill dogs? Like just because she wants a coat? There's not enough, reasoning behind as to why she's so bad. And usually you don't give a reasoning as to why a villain is bad. They're just bad. You have to hate it. But with Joker, because they have such a good reasoning that almost makes you want to feel bad for the character, you have this love-hate relationship where you know this person's wrong, but you love the villain. You don't hate the villain. So
okay, cool.
It makes it a different...
So John, Richard Lawson, you know of him? He's a Vanity Fair. Vanity Fair is a very popular magazine.
Yeah.
So he criticized the film and he said maybe he called the film irresponsible. He says it's irresponsible propaganda for the man it basically empathizes with.
Yeah.
Right? So what do you think? It's celebratory or it's horrifying?
So I think end of the day, if you go to see it, it is a fiction film, right? It is fiction and it's based out of a comic book.
Yeah.
So I mean, it depends on person to person how you take it. That is also like important. Like if he sees the film and it affects him in some way, if she sees it, it affects her in some other way. So yeah, it depends on that. But overall, like I loved the film in general. But I think there was a difference in the first half and the second half. Like the first half.
The movie has 2 halves.
Yeah,
isn't it?
I mean,
in
India, yeah.
But then in India they stop anyway.
But yeah, so towards the end, I don't know, the story just ended vaguely a little bit, because there's a scene where in Gotham City he's recognized as the Joker, and he's the riots and all happened, and they just cut to a scene in the Arkham hospital where he's sitting with the therapist, and like no one knows what that scene is for in the movie. And like if it's before everything happened, is it his imagination or what he's thinking at that time, or like there's no idea. So it's just a little bit vague towards the end.
I think that scene was basically to neutralize it, normalize it.
Yeah.
Just to in the end not to say that he's so
and he
society is so bad that he can just stand. I have a feeling that movie ended when he was standing on the car in the end. And
so some people are saying that scene towards the end in the hospital where he kills that therapist and walks out is maybe an imagination of everything that is shown in the film. Like all that has happened in the movie is actually happening in that hospital, and he's trying to tell that story to the therapist or something like that.
Yeah.
That's one of the theories, but like,
actually isn't it like that?
It's one of the theories. Like
because it begins like that. I think he's narrating the story.
Yeah.
No?
Well, it's up to your interpretation.
So that's nice.
So there are a
That's
lot of
not
interpretations to the film. Yeah.
What do you think of all these things?
I have a completely different viewpoint on the film. Like, according to me, I think first of all, hats off to the director, because when you can make a movie that has 10 different interpretations for 10 different people, it automatically auto-hypes it. Because it's like, if I have a different interpretation, I go talk to 5 of my friends and then we argue about it. Because I'm like, they understood the movie differently, I understood it completely differently. So, according to me, when you see the last scene where he's talking to the same therapist about, and he's smoking a cigarette and he's laughing, I think that was the only intentional laugh he had in the entire film.
Yeah.
Because he was intentionally laughing, because then it connects to the first scene where we see the therapist, and the therapist tells him that, oh, our funding has been cut off and this is our final meeting. And that time he's like, you never want to listen to me. You never want to listen to my problems. All you want to do is ask me the same set of questions all over again and again and again and prescribe me medication for it. And then she asks him that, do you remember why you ended up in the hospital in the first place? And he didn't have an answer for it. So, according to me, the last scene of the film was actually the first meeting of the therapist and the Joker ever.
Okay.
And then the scene that we see in the first half, according to the Indian cinema, was when they're sitting and the therapist is saying that, oh, our funding has been like cut off. That is the latter part of it. Because I believe he didn't actually kill Robert De Niro in the movie. All of it was just in his head. It was just his interpretation.
Okay. So this movie is open to lots of interpretation.
Yeah.
Is it like that?
Yeah.
But do you agree that there are people like this in the society who feel lonely, alone, left out, forgotten,
Yeah.
and they suffer because of this?
Of course.
And especially the big urban life does that. Has anybody seen Taxi Driver?
Yes.
No.
You have. So you realize this movie is basically totally inspired from
I
Taxi
think
Driver.
that's why
Yeah.
Robert De Niro is in the movie as well.
Yeah, and also in
And
the
the ending scene is, I
The
think.
head, this
no, in the elevator.
elevator.
Yeah.
When he meets this girl who's basically of his imagination,
Yeah. And
both
she
of
does
them
this.
do that.
Yeah,
She actually
yeah,
does that
yeah,
first,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
She does it first.
Yeah.
And what
I
you were
think
saying?
they've used the same prop as well.
Yeah, the same
gun.
prop they've
It's the
used.
same
Oh, really?
gun.
Yeah.
You read it somewhere?
Well, I remember it.
You were saying something.
Yeah, there's one more scene I think that relates to Taxi Driver. Like he shoots someone. No, he doesn't shoot anyone. The one where he's killing towards the end, and even in Taxi Driver towards the end, I think there's some scene. I'm not sure actually.
Yeah, he goes
Yeah.
for the kill. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so, but this movie, why? I mean, you are cinema students. Why do you think this movie is revolutionary? Why it's a new chapter in filmmaking? It's open to everybody.
I think obviously it's Joaquin's acting also. I mean,
Okay.
he killed it and the direction, the way it's shot. I think some scenes were handheld camera also.
Yeah.
Many of the scenes. So I
They're
think
shot
that
on 65 mm.
yeah, so that does make a difference in some or the other way, because like his acting, the movie was completely one character based. Like it's only him,
He's
his
carried
story.
the whole thing.
Beginning
Yeah, and
to
he's
the
carried the film in a beautiful way. I think like,
Also,
and he's got into the character
What
so
else?
well.
What else you think? What makes it a new standard in filmmaking? Because now character-specific films will always, like Taxi Driver was one of them. Now this people are going to judge from this standard. You know. So why do you think? Besides acting, what else do you think?
I think like every good movie starts with a great screenplay first. And I think the movie is beautifully written. Like especially like my favorite scene from the film is when he's killing Randall. Like when he's
Yeah.
sitting there
Yeah.
and Randall and the dwarf, like they walk
Yeah.
into the room.
Very unexpected.
Very unexpected. And he kills Randall. And then I'm imagining it from the dwarf's perspective. He's like, I know both the people. That guy just killed my friend who I walked in with to offer my condolences for his mother's death. And I'm short enough and I can't reach the door to
That
open
was
it.
amazing.
Yeah.
That was amazing. And then he asked for help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the
And this guy
killer
helps him. The killer helps him.
helps the only witness to the murder.
Yeah.
Walks in, opens it,
Yeah, that was
opens
such a
it,
good
pats
scene.
him in the head and says, "You've always been good to me."
Yeah.
And he walks off. I mean, if something like that happened to me, like I'm still getting goosebumps talking about it because I would be scarred for life.
Yeah.
I would be thinking about it so much. So it's about these little scenes that matter so much because now it's about something, it's a film about mental illness, right? Like about mental health and everything. So when you're watching it from that perspective, you think on so many different tangents as to, oh my god, like how do you write that? How do you think about such a thing? Like, you know, someone's just killed a friend and the other guy, the only witness to the murder, is walking and he's asking help from the murderer to open the door and then walk off.
Yeah. Okay, so what, according to you, is there anything which you took back, a shot or a scene or a music piece? What was your highlight of the film?
I think it was the final shot in which, you know, he just completely accepts the insanity that he possesses. In which, like, when he
Does he? Are you sure he did?
Yeah, it's that my interpretation of the
Okay.
film. He walks out of the room and, you know, there's blood in his, like, you know, footprints, and so that means he has killed the doctor already. And now he's on the, you know, path of this violence and this insanity, this psychoticness that Joker possesses and which he's known for. So that's the point, you know, it's like, okay, now this was getting interesting and it got cut off.
Yeah. What haunts you still?
Well, first two things I thought of when I left the movie was, first of all, the director Todd Phillips. had made two of my favorite comedy movies before this, Hangover and Due Date.
Yeah.
And now he's
Hangover
made
and?
Due
Due
Date.
Date.
Yeah.
And now he's made this, and that left me in some sort of shock for a while. And then I thought of the character, and I figured how simple his character arc is, but how it's so complex. You had to make such a thrilling movie because of it. It's basically about a character who laughs his sadness away, tries to laugh his sadness away, until he eventually starts laughing because he just finds everything funny. So that is what's still, that's still with me, because I feel like that's such a simple thing they've held on to, and it's such a strong character, because he had this condition. He used to give everyone a slip that he's laughing because whatever his condition. And towards the end, when he starts finding everything funny, the whole city's on fire. He's killing people. Like he said, he's accepted that he's completely insane. He kills his own mom. So I don't think there's any certain high point in the script. I feel like a lot of people try to write, there should be 5 high points in the script, there should be this, there should be that. They've just taken the character and they've placed him in this other in the city of Gotham. And they've just taken us through the journey of that. And I feel like that's what a story should be.
You know something? It's said that people who understand tragedy best, they also understand the comedy best. You know, because when you see so much of sadness, so much of intense pain, then you start looking at the comic side of life also. And when you reach the apex of pain, then suddenly everything becomes funny, because then you can't logic it out. Why one person is so lonely, so alone? That's why you will find in big cities, in metropolitan cities, you'll find crazy people walking and they are laughing and they're, doing those kind of things. But for me, I think personally, the moment which really worked when I got involved with the character is not when he is being hit by the goons on the road rage. It's when he's in the bus and he starts laughing.
Yeah,
And there's a lady sitting in front. And then she gives that card, and the director has deliberately held that card for a very, very long time. It's actually in screen time, it's exceptionally long. You have read it, but still it's there. You say, no, I have read it. Move on. But it's there because it leaves that impact in your mind. And from that point onwards, you never question the character's issues, right? So what, you tell me, you guys, what is...
I think this one scene, it's a very vague scene. I don't think people would even remember. It's when the cops come and start asking him about the murders in the train, and he's like, I have nothing to do with it and stuff, and he's walking into the hospital and he walks into the glass door. It's almost like at first, you feel like you flinch a little because it's a very loud sound as well, and then you want to laugh at it, and then you realize with how he has no reaction to it and he's still going through it, you almost feel guilty for finding, any sort of humor in his pain, because it's not like that was a funny moment. He was just like in his own world. He's that sick, he can't even know what an exit and entry is. So he's completely delusional at that point, and there's nobody to help him. I feel like that one moment in the scene, that's when my emotions, I didn't understand whether I should be laughing or should be sad or should be guilty. I was like, I don't know, I'm gone. It took me off my feet. I was completely gone.
I think I felt that way the scene where he kills his friend. And
no, that way I saw it coming. I saw it coming because I'd already started.
Yeah, but this was very cold.
This was it's a very shrewd film, right? In a way, like it's playing with your emotions, but it's also like it's up to you. Like it's poking you a little. Like, see, this is a funny scene, but then making you feel guilty for laughing. So those mixed emotions where you don't know what you feel is why I feel so many people have so many interpretations.
What is your favorite?
I think the only killing which was real in the film was the killing on the subway, where he kills the 3 people. Like, I honestly don't think he ever killed Robert De Niro in the movie, because I think because I've studied a little bit about people who have such kind of disorders, and it's like whenever they do some action or a movement, in this instance was the Joker's dance, there's always something going on in their head that they're imagining and they want it to be real, but they don't know how to turn that imagination into a reality. So I think the whole point being Joker wanted to be recognized, because all that guy wanted, all Arthur Fitch ever wanted was a father. Was his father to recognize him as just a person or just a human being or just his son. But that never happened, and he started kind of believing that Thomas Wayne's kind of my father and everything, and then there's this other story to it. But then I think that the whole scene where he's beaten up on the bonnet of a cop car, and he
Yeah.
rises and he stands.
That rising is amazing.
Yeah,
Very
that's-
well shot also.
That's
very well shot.
Yeah.
beautifully shot, but I think that's all his imagination.
Okay.
That's all that he's thinking, that he wants it to be true. Like the first scene, like where he's watching the TV show with his mum, and he imagines that he's sitting in the
Yeah.
audience.
Oh yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah,
an
yeah, yeah,
imagination.
yeah. That was nice.
That's an
When
imagination.
he starts laughing in the
Yeah,
audience.
yeah, where he starts laughing. So I think then the second time when he watches the show again, where Robert De Niro is making fun of him because he was trying to do stand-up comedy.
Yeah, that's also very good.
Yeah,
That's
and he was imagining that the girl has come to see him
Yeah,
for
yeah,
the
yeah.
stand-up show and everything.
Yeah, yeah, that was all imagined.
Yeah, so I think when he saw that on TV, that's when he started thinking that how can he make fun of me because I have a disorder. I didn't want to laugh on my own jokes. I was trying to get rid of my mental illness. At most time, people who do stand-up comedy have very dark pasts, and that's how they find humor out of it. And they're like trying to treat themselves through stand-up comedy.
I told you that people who understand tragedy very well are very good comedians.
Yeah, same. Like I think that's how dark humor comes out of it.
Yeah, yeah.
And
But
everything.
one thing you guys noticed that they have used a lot of metaphors in this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So many metaphors. For example, since the movie is open to interpretation, the television, they have shown that television all the times, and I think that is the problem with the urban life. That people keep watching TV and they think this is the real world, and then they, in their mind, they keep cooking up stories and they feel lonely and isolated because it's like Instagram and modern social media.
True.
You see it and you say everybody is into this $1 million trip. People are having fun, they are partying, they are everything, and you say I'm sitting here in my dirty boxers and I don't even have muscles and I have not been more than Virar or somewhere. So I am so lonely and I am so left out. This is the real thing. So you are kids. Suppose you read, I'm sure on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook you'll find a lot of young film school guys. They'll say today we learned this, we are doing this, we are doing that. You'll start feeling as if you know nothing and they know better than you. But that is not true. So that is also an aspect of modern. Taxi Driver was also the same thing. You've seen Taxi Driver. TV is very beautifully used in that also, no? He keeps watching television all the time. So any other metaphor you remember from?
Add to your point, the entire film in my opinion was shot on, through his point of thought, like the way he perceives it. And the entire film, like even it's like non-linear, sometimes he just hallucinates about things and he just starts imagining that, he creates his own new reality. And at the end of the day, you don't know what's true and what's not.
Yeah.
Because now you have just seen the entire movie through his thought process. And that's the reason I feel that, there are a lot of interpretations. Because now you understand the character better. And even if I say that I was disappointed with the movie, the strongest part of the entire movie is that one character, which is, Arthur Flinch. Maybe they lost out a bit on, Thomas Wayne, Alfred.
Even De Niro's character was not
Yeah.
fully. That's what people felt.
Yeah.
But I think in this film, if you had any character, would have looked very, very small because the level they have created. So, any metaphor you think from the film?
Nothing really that comes to mind. I think he was everywhere in every other scene.
Yeah, but the small things like film opens, he's trying to create that
I feel like
artificial.
I think the whole
just-
film is that.
That's what I said. I think the whole
Film is metaphorical.
concept of
Yeah,
the idea is
because I
metaphorical.
think like we're trying to see the whole film is a POV of a schizophrenic person.
that in
Yeah.
itself.
So he
that-
himself,
yeah.
that in itself
he
is
is a metaphor. Like he
Yeah.
himself doesn't know what's
What-
reality and what's fake, and that's what the audience doesn't know as well. What's
No,
reality and what's
audience
fake.
knows. Audience thinks it's all reality.
It's all reality,
Up
but that's
until
what the
a certain
character's
point,
thinking
no,
himself.
Up until a certain point, a schizophrenic person has no idea.
No idea what's fake and what's real.
But as an audience, people think this is all
Yes,
happening.
yeah.
But
And
also, I
it's
feel
only in
like
the end you realize, no, oh man, fuck, what happened? I was
Yeah.
like, was it real? Was it unreal? When was it real?
But I think that's the same thing that the character's thinking. So the whole movie,
Yeah.
everything that we see in the movie is the same thing that Joker's seeing in the movie. So
Yeah.
when he sees that, okay, I've killed someone by mistake or something's happened, oh, I'm with this girl, this, that and all. That's what he's imagining, and that's what the audience is also seeing, his imagination.
But didn't you think that the girl was initially that actually she's real?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't
All of
notice
us,
that
all of us thought,
Yeah, I was-
thought that because we were seeing the whole movie from the Joker's perspective.
Yeah.
When the Joker realized that the girl is fake and I'm actually mentally ill, that's when the audience also realized that okay, that
So
was
you think,
fake.
do you think
That
this?
scene in particular reminded me a lot of Shutter Island.
Yeah.
That is one of my favorite films.
Yeah.
But I
I
also
In
feel
the
like with
end,
this
you
movie,
realize.
if you think of the set or you think of the colors, everything is really bright. It's almost intimidating. Even on Robert De Niro's show, right? Just the curtains, that blue and orange. It's such a bright color and it's such a big curtain. So it's almost like everything that's surrounding him is very intimidating by itself, and then to be able to keep this guy and still have the focus on him, I think that's a metaphor as well.
I'm very happy
Yeah,
you
it's
brought
an
this point out. Right now, let's discuss the technical part of the film.
Yeah,
What do you guys think the technical part of it?
I
I
think
noticed
it's
this.
very
The scene, I
creatively
think it was
shot.
in the hospital when you can say this man's finally become the Joker, when he kills his mom, I think.
Yeah.
That's the first time you actually see light falling on his face in the entire movie.
Yeah.
Up to that point, it's just really dark. There's a scene in the day, but there's no. He's getting beaten up in the alley. And he's covered in shadows and everything. Everything is dark and gloomy up to that point, where his character transformation takes place. And that's the point. Then he steps out. He's in the sun. He's dancing in the sun.
Yeah.
So
And I
that's a
think
great
very
change.
rarely I've
And,
seen sun in the film. It's mostly evening,
It's mostly dark
indigo,
and
magic
it's got
hours.
a lot of colors. Like it's also got a lot of warm colors. It's got orange and like
Yeah.
red
Yeah.
and pink and
And
stuff.
they have used a lot of
But-
tube lights.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
see, but deliberately they have tube lights they have used
Yeah.
because tube lights also create a psychedelic effect, and also tube
Yeah.
lights are very, very urban
Right.
things.
And every
They're also very
set,
bright,
every
naturally.
room, every location felt very trapped.
Yeah.
Very,
claustrophobic.
Yeah, very
also.
like, as if
Also,
it's like eating
uh,
into you. So it
In the
was like
last
that.
scene, the show is Ackman Hospital,
Yeah.
but that's actually too bright. That's not how actually Ackman is. It's
Yeah.
very clean and in the last shot it's bright, but in the earlier shots, Ackman is like really dirty and shabby and all that.
Yeah.
But in the last scene where he's killing that therapist and walking away, they made it like really clean.
Oh yeah, that was.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
very
that
clean.
was
That's
surreal.
not actually how Ackman is.
No, that was surreal.
Yeah,
that
that was-
white
yeah.
corridor. That's what you're
Yeah,
talking
Yeah,
about.
it
Yeah.
felt like that scene from the Matrix when
Yeah.
like you go inside and you like can make weapons like by your imagination and things like
Yeah.
that white room you enter like Neo enters.
that
for
was
the
very
first time.
I think
surreal.
that was a very
Yeah.
good shot also when you see it in just this alley. And
Yeah.
then you see him exit and then there's someone running behind
Yeah.
him.
Because he ran the wrong way and then he
What-
comes
that
back.
was such a good shot.
Where to
like,
go?
just watch- yeah,
Like
and
for
it
going
was-
nowhere,
Yeah,
basically
yeah,
just moving in
Yeah.
the same thing.
And it was
music.
both humorous
They've
and
used-
sad at the same
they've
time. Like
used-
you're like poor guy, but it was hilarious to see it from the place that we were seeing it from.
Also, one other shot that I loved was this one shoulder shot when Randall first gives him the gun. So he's basically sitting and he's applying his makeup
Yeah,
and
yeah,
he's
yeah.
trying to be happy.
Yeah.
And then this is right after the scene when those
Yeah, I remember.
guys jump him. And he comes back and Randall's like, okay, you need to protect yourself. You just take this gun from me, okay? You don't owe me anything and all. And then we're wondering, why is he doing him a favor? Because like, all we are assuming is nobody likes that guy. And then later we know what is happening. And there's this one shot where he's sitting like this and the camera comes from behind. And you can see his, because he actually has some dislocation in his shoulder. So you can actually see that, and the director used it to his advantage because he actually has that in reality. He has a shoulder.
Really?
Yeah, he
I
has
don't
a.
know that.
He has,
Phoenix?
yeah, Phoenix. He has a shoulder problem because his shoulder is a little too narrow for his body size. So they've actually shown him like this, like from the back.
But did he actually lose all that weight?
Yeah. He was on an apple
read
a
about
day.
it?
Yeah, he was on an apple a day for like a long time.
Oh my god! And now I saw his recent interview.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
a bulky
he's
man.
become
a-
I mean, he's fat. He's
Yeah,
not the
yeah.
thin. Oh my
Yeah.
god! The extent they go to.
Yeah.
And what about music?
It was
Yeah,
it was
did
very
you notice?
very
It was,
eerie.
yeah,
Did you notice the music?
I didn't, to be honest.
Even honestly, I also didn't notice the movie. So only towards the end, I said, "Oh no, they have great music."
Yeah, and
It
that's
was
how
very-
I think it was very
subtle.
subtle. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
very subtle.
Every
But it had a very
thing.
eerie tone to it.
Yeah.
Almost like
Yeah.
you know those really just sadistic movies where someone like is killing someone and you don't know whether you're like happy about it or you're sad about it, or there's a really dark scene but there's really happy music playing at the back. It's such a contrasting thing, but they did it so in such a subtle way that the movie is a very heavy movie. Like if you think of everything that's gone, the character study, the illness, the shots, the color, the music, it's a lot of information to take back, but
Yeah, actually, it's too
you don't
much.
leave the theater feeling heavy. You feel like that was great. Like it felt refreshing, even though it's everything completely the opposite.
And this is one of
that.
those few movies which haunt you. Completely
Yeah.
haunts you. You don't know where to look. And the best. I'll tell you. Yes, there is controversy. There is a certain part of controversy I agree with. Certain part I do not agree with. I'll tell you what is my take on this. I think, yes, there are problems in this world. Yes, people go crazy. Yes, there is violence in this world. Everything. You can see the darkest possible side. But the reason that we have evolved as human beings is because there is always hope. And in this movie, they just strangled me, suffocated me, and destroyed me as a person because they left me with no hope. And I felt so empathetic with the guy. I felt so related with the guy. And I said, I also feel like there is nobody in the city who has not felt for a moment like that guy. So, what do you think? Should we make movies which have some hope or absolutely no hope? Like this movie.
I think for like this movie is like one of those few movies that isn't just a movie for me. It's like an experience.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll
got
say
it.
that.
Yeah.
When you
So,
go to-
okay. So we agree on that?
Yeah.
That this
Yeah.
movie is an experience?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and critics are saying because that's the job, they
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
to do it.
I think whoever watches it, even if they like the movie or they don't like the movie,
It's
it's
an
an
experience,
experience.
yeah.
Like you have to
Yeah.
experience it from
Yeah.
start to end.
And I have a take why there is no hope. Right? Because if you have to live like that person, there is actually no hope. You know, they reach a dead end, there is no hope. Now, final question. Is it going to get an Oscar?
I think so, yeah.
You think so?
Yeah.
It's on camera, so you're recording.
I don't know if the Academy is going to be okay with awarding an Oscar to a movie with so much controversy. Joaquin should get it. 'cause
Yeah.
Yeah, he will give it.
He
If
will.
they
He
don't
won
give
the
it,
Oscars already.
if they don't give it, burn the damn theater where they lost.
Yeah, no, he
I mean,
deserves
we
it.
can
I
say
feel
that.
like this movie deserves a lot of Oscars, but I feel like it won't get it.
It won't get. Also, a lot of critics who they are writing. Everybody, see, the problem is America is so obsessed with Trump right now.
Yeah.
They think this kind of behavior will ignite the white people
But then
and they will come out and
that's
speak.
not
Yeah.
fair because in argument there's been so many movies about so many things
Yeah.
that have such dark things in general. Like there's murders, there's killings, there's mental illnesses. That way, if you have to make everything so tight and so clean, then the entire idea of cinema is over. Because it is to create a reality or to show you something that is not there. Or even if it is there, but movies is not, it wasn't, the idea of movies was not to show you a mirror, right? It was just to show you a different way of telling you a story. Then you write books and stuff about war, you write books about Hitler.
But it does show a mirror and there's nothing
No,
wrong
it
with
does
saying
show.
mirror.
I'm not saying it's wrong to show a mirror. Of course, it does show a lot of realities. Now, cinema has become broader, but the initial part of movies, the first shot of movies was a train going by. It's a story of a train moving. It wasn't to show you, oh, look, a train's moving. It's just to show you that things can move on screen, and then it started going, wherever
So
it
do
goes.
you think it's
So-
going to get an Oscar? No.
No.
What do you think?
I don't know about the film, but Joaquin and Todd Phillips, I think they deserve it.
They
for
deserve
sure.
it.
Yeah,
The
Todd
Todd
Phillips.
is
I think
Yeah.
more than Joaquin, I think Todd has a better chance
Yeah,
of
for
getting
sure.
Best Director.
Yeah.
Also, I think they're gonna get a lot of nominations, but they're not gonna win a lot.
Yeah, see, all these awards are political, and
Yeah.
right now elections are coming in US, and if they give award to this movie, this will be a victory of all the white
Yeah.
people,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. Supremacists, yeah.
supremacists, and all those kind of things. Though should not be,
Yeah.
because these are
Yeah.
different
It's
kind
a
of.
Also, I like to compare it to
Huh?
Hollywood, all of Hollywood's liberal.
Yeah, I'd like to
Yeah.
compare it to
So
two other
activists,
films
like-
that
Yeah.
had the same thing, like Mad Max. When
Okay.
Mad Max came out, everyone was like, okay, this is gonna win the
Yeah, yeah,
Oscars,
yeah, but
everything's
yeah.
gonna happen.
I think the problem with Joker is that it's real.
Yeah, same
is-
thing.
yes,
And like
it's
same
almost
thing
a
like
true
even
story.
there's this other film called The Curious Case of Benjamin Button.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When
Yeah,
it came
yeah,
out back in 2008, again, it was tackling a social issue. at the
Actually, I
end.
was reading, just now before you guys came, somebody said, in the end, okay, if a black guy comes and kills this guy, then this film is 100% going to win the
That's
Oscar.
100%.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Bullshit.
yeah, yeah.
I don't care about it, but it's
Yeah,
bullshit. But
yeah, yeah.
David Fincher said people go to cinemas to feel happy, feel like the world is fine. Unfortunately, I don't make movies like that. But his movies are never. They don't have this element of realism in them.
Yeah.
They're
They have
always-
hope in the end.
There's something.
There's
to do
something
with
But
it.
then for
to
anyone who doesn't want to
With-
see it, don't go and watch Joker, right? Like you can't just say that this is a movie that's going to
that's
trigger me,
okay,
so
let
let's not
people
make it.
criticize. Huh? I know.
No,
I
I'm
understand.
not saying that
But
they're
also,
not.
one more
Everyone
thing
should,
that I
but
think makes the chance of winning an
general.
Oscar bleak is that Joker as a character has won an Oscar before.
That doesn't. I don't think that can be the.
I think that
constraint.
But
does
you know,
happen with-
in
it happened with
the-
The Star Is Born as well.
See, if it doesn't win, then I think it's a loss of Hollywood. It
it's a
should
big, big
at every level.
To bring back to the political point, there's a lot of ties that have been there's a lot of similarities between Thomas Wayne running for mayor and Donald Trump running for president.
Yeah.
It sort of shows how order and chaos are
Yeah.
pretty much the same
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
That's very
Big
true, to be
businessman
honest.
and, you know,
Well said.
I
I
just
like that
noticed
argument,
that.
yeah.
I just noticed that.
It
Okay, so,
almost,
yeah,
it
anything
almost
else?
draws like a fine line between you're black and white. Everything is a grey area now. Like
Yeah.
you don't know what is right, what is wrong anymore. I think that's what the whole film's
One
about.
character,
Honestly,
like,
I
people
don't-
look up to is Thomas Wayne in this entire universe, and showing him,
It's
like
such a
making
bad,
a word
like, yeah.
mistake, and just like saying something which he shouldn't have said, and then the repercussion that happens, riot causes, because of him. It's like something that is very similar to what happened to the Trump attack controversy, and
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah. So
Also,
that-
if you give hope in the end of this movie, you're saying villains have this sort of hope, then what does the hero have? If you're watching a movie through a villain's eyes,
Yeah, but he doesn't come across as villain. He comes across as the hero of the movie.
But that's
But
very
that is
similar to
not-
Batman.
he's a
That's very
villain.
similar to
Yeah.
Batman.
But
Because
you
Batman's an
can't show-
anti-hero.
Yeah.
Anti-hero, yeah. So
No, you can't show hope, because
Batman's a
that
hero.
life of
That's-
Joker is very toxic.
Batman's the
and
number
You
one
can't
comic book
because
hero in the
I
world.
think somehow Todd Phillips had that thing because The Dark Knight left us with such a major impact
Yeah.
that he had to somehow connect that film to The Dark Knight. So that's why I think the whole reason he shows
And
these many problems
there's
and
a
everything is
small
so that
tie
it
to this.
connects like a
Yeah.
prequel to The Dark Knight.
There's
Is what I feel.
tie to this, Joker tries to, bring a smile on Bruce's face.
Yeah, like,
Build
yeah,
it
yeah,
to his
yeah,
cheek.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that's like too ironical because Bruce Wayne in his entire, like before his parents died, of course he laughed, but after that he has never laughed.
He's
and in
never
this film
laughed.
he has never laughed in general as well.
Yeah.
So he tries to give him the first laugh and
Yeah,
referring to the killing joke point of Batman and things.
absolutely.
superb, guys. So you guys are fascinating, really great guys. I'm very, very impressed. If this is what they teach you or not teach you, but if this is what you're becoming, then Indian cinema has a bright future. Tell me, how is this idea? Whenever such great film comes, come over, get some more friends. We should do that. This discussion must happen. See, cinema must be discussed, right? Otherwise, isn't it everybody talks about 100 crores, 200 crores, hit and flop?
Yeah.
Most of the people have said, "Are Joker chali ki nahi chali? Is it a hit or not?" Then we read in newspaper, "Oh, the biggest grosser of the century." You say, "Oh, now it's a good film." Don't fall in that trap. A movie can be small. So if there's any movie I request, you pick it up and you say, "Okay, come on, let's discuss this movie." Will we do that?
Yeah.
And do you think that someday we will have 20 people sitting here and discussing?
Yeah,
We
possible.
could.
Okay, great. So all the best. You want to say anything to all the viewers? These bright kids, anything you want to tell to people? Anything, last thoughts?
Cinema at the end of the day, like I know the commercial side is very big, but that's not the only side of cinema, and it's like it's a sin to just fall into that trap and only watch the masala entertainment movies and skip out on the good movies that come out.
So you read Gita also, and you read James Hadley Chase also, and you read Playboy also. So there is every kind of thing. It doesn't mean. What do you have to say about cinema?
I think if you want to reflect on society in terms of Joker specifically, you should go watch Joker.
Wonderful. What do you have to say about cinema?
I don't think that any movie, anything when it comes to cinema should be taken too seriously. It should create an impact on you, but you don't have to take it very seriously because it is a story at the end of the day. Whether it's real or not, it should leave an impact, but you don't have to take it seriously like it's happened to you personally. Like, people forget that you're still an audience, so stick to that perspective.
What do you
So
say?
I just want to add one thing that in the ending scene Joker also, there's one scene when Joaquin is paying tribute to Heath Ledger as well, the previous Joker. So when he's on the top of the car, he puts that red thing
Yeah.
to smile, which is actually that's what people think, that he's paying a tribute to Heath Ledger through that scene.
Great.
Yeah.
Anything, last thoughts on
I
cinema
think
or anything?
there's this one huge problem with the audience sometimes. It's just something I believe is that people cloud their own judgment based on the fact that what their friends or other people that they talk to think about
Yeah.
it.
They haven't seen the
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
like,
They don't form their own opinion.
so this is what I always do. Like, if I've seen a film and someone asks me about it, I just try to refrain about telling them my opinion or my thoughts, because I believe when they go and watch it, they have a preconceived notion of what's going to happen and how the movie is going to be like.
Yeah.
So because of that, even when they're watching it, they're not able to judge it by their own opinion or their own perspective. They're not able to form an opinion. There's somewhat that thing that, oh, my friend didn't like it so much. Oh yeah, the camera work is kind of shitty. That's what he told me.
And to add
Yes,
to
that
this,
and all.
like the thing that come out, like 11 minutes of a standing ovation to Joker.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people who said like that ruined it for them because they went with a super high opinion, like
Yeah.
super high, like expectations.
Yeah.
When it was like, okay, this
Yeah.
would be so amazing, but
Yeah.
didn't turn out that way.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let cinema surprise us. Don't go with expectations. That is the summary of this thing. So, okay, guys, this was a wonderful session. And I think we must discuss cinema, we must sit down, and we should treat it like modern literature. And for that, if you are a young boy or a girl, or anybody, even if you are a housewife and you think you can contribute to this, and these are all I am Buddhas, the young Buddhas. So if you want, you can also join us. You can find I am Buddha on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube. You can just send a direct message and say you want to be part of it. And if you justify why, then we'll invite you. You can also be part of this thing. So see you in the next roundtable conference on next movie.